Daddy, let me tell you about Sharifa Adams, Daddy. She's one of my first and favorite cousins. You never met her before. She's on Mama's side of the family. She was like my little sister, Daddy. And I've never seen her the way I saw her when I showed up to her house the day she found out that Keith had had a baby with Mariela Velasquez. See, Keith pretended to be the perfect husband for a year or so after Sharifa had been arrested for fighting Mariela while he planned his perfect little getaway. There Sharifa was, thinking that she had gotten her family back. You know, that her husband had recommitted to her. But it was all a big joke. Sharifa loved Keith, but everybody knew he was messing around on her, even back in high school. I'll never forget the day she came home from track practice saying that Keith had slapped her on her booty and called her pretty black. She was so happy, Daddy, and I was happy for her. You see, Daddy, we both had to deal with boys in the neighborhood and boys at school calling us names like Blackie, African Booty Scratcher, Spot, Blackula, Monkey Mouth, and Midnight Fright, while all the Spanish and the light-skinned girls got called the beautiful ones. So for Sharifa to finally have a guy pay her some attention and show it in front of everybody, that was big for a dark-skinned girl. But everybody knew Keith Adams was messing around with some white chick on the cheerleading squad, some Spanish chick in the band. Daddy, I tried to tell Sharifa this, but she thought I was just being a hater. She thought I was jealous. She even stopped talking to me for a while. So I started hanging out more with my best friend, Delphine Huckleback. But Daddy, Sharifa loved her some Keith Adams, and she was desperate for that man to love her back. Delphine. Well, Daddy, me and Delphine had been best friends since like the fifth grade. We both are older than my cousin Sharifa, so you know we hung out all the time and we stuck together through thick and thin, Daddy. We had to, because everybody used to pick at us. We were like the blackest, the darkest girls in our high school, Daddy. Margus Hall. That Margus Hall was only nice to Delphine because she did his algebra homework. He moved to the seat behind her because she let him copy her test. He hugged her at the end of the school year because she had kept him from failing algebra again. He used her, Daddy. He used that girl. There was also this boy named Ceedy who hung out with Margus Hall's crew. Ceedy lived in our neighborhood, and every single day on the way to school and on the way back home, Daddy, he'd point and laugh at me and Delphine, yelling and screaming at the top of his lungs, "Look at Goose Moose on the loose, y'all. Look at Black and Ugly, y'all." He'd follow us home, calling us nappy-headed, tar baby, blackula, and African booty scratcher. Daddy, he would go on and on and on about how he was going to marry a red bone and how we were never going to get married because we were just too black and too ugly. Daddy, we call him names. We curse him out. But we could never find the words that hurt him more than the words he called us. Oh, Daddy, I'd look in the mirror and I'd cry. I cried a lot because, Daddy, I hated myself. I hated the way I looked. I could not see nothing pretty about who I was, Daddy. All I saw was this nappy-headed, black, ugly, African booty scratcher, just like Ceedy said. Oh, Daddy, I burn up my scalp with hot combs and perms, trying to get rid of my nappy hair. I even tried skin lightening creams. Daddy, I tried Clorox bleach and peroxide. But Daddy, there was nothing I could do to get rid of my dark skin. I'm happy for Delphine, But deep down inside, I know she hasn't gotten over the torture and the pain that those black boys put us through. 'Cause deep down, Daddy, I haven't gotten over it either. Daddy, excuse my language, Daddy, but she's a damn fool. I've attended Bishop Applebaum's church for years and never, ever, ever saw this mess coming. Nobody did. Daddy, don't get me wrong. Sister Applebaum is a good woman. She did not deserve what happened to her. I hate that Bishop Applebaum for what he did to her. He destroyed her life. And it's crazy when the pastor of your church is accused of not only cheating, but cheating with a man. He knew good and darn well what his tendencies were before he married Sister Applebaum. I believe he preyed on her insecurities just to get her to marry him so he could stay on the down low and keep collecting a check from a 50,000 member congregation of black folks who needed hope. What he doesn't realize, especially about us dark-skinned women in that church, is that we saw hope in him and his dark-skinned wife. He raved about her in church. I mean, he praised this woman all the time, calling her the most beautiful woman in the world. He talked about how proud he was that she was the mother of his children. He talked about her heart, how she was good on the inside, Daddy. I looked up to them. Everybody looked up to them. I mean, you've got this successful black preacher, and he chooses to marry someone who looks like me, a dark-skinned woman. And look at what he turns around and does. Sister Applebaum, she just seems to have kept it together supposedly because of her faith in God. Please. I think she was just so desperate to have a black man love her that she just wasn't strong enough to let his behind go. Can you imagine self-esteem that low? I can. Sharifa can. And so can Delphine. You know, Daddy, here's what I believe. Sister Applebaum is just like the rest of us dark-skinned women. She's just pretending to be all forgiving because of her church image. But she know good and darn well that she's pissed off just like me. That Bishop Applebaum, he's not only down low, but Daddy, he's low down, and I hope he burns in hell.